Braves take game one. Let's talk about it. Braves take game one. What a game. Wow. Yeah, I got you, Blake. Wow. There's a special moment. The first NLCS playoff game in Atlanta in like, what, 20 years or something? And you hit a walk-off. Amazing win for the Braves for sure. Bulldogs had a big game too. Like, what's your Twitter? Why can't I find you? Uh, it's just crazy how a crappy day in college football for me personally, Gators fan. But I'm gonna take it as it was a sacrifice for the Braves to do well today. Man, what a game! Still kind of in shock. Austin Riley, let Blake Trinan face him every single time because he absolutely owns Trinan. It's crazy how good he does against him. The home run, game one of last year's NLCS, obviously the walk-off would have been double, but technically single. In this game one of the NLCS, every time Riley comes up against Trinan, you feel good about that pretty much now in the playoffs. 3 more to go. Exactly. Job's not finished yet. We were up 3-1 last year. We still lost. So being up 1-0 means nothing. But obviously, new year, new people. What's up, Blake?
Let me go get my background light on. 1 second.
Okay. Then hold on. There we go.
How we doing, bro?
Good. How about you? Obviously, it's hard not to be good.
That was a ball.
I mean, it's hasn't been a moment that exciting in Braves baseball in a minute. It feels like, honestly, like obviously haven't had a walk off in the postseason since Bream?
Well, technically, Freddie walked off the Reds last year.
Oh yeah, he did. I always forget
game's
about that Reds series for some
Yeah, that
reason.
game's kind of down the drain.
Yeah, those don't really count.
Oh my god, my heart! I can't lie. I was whining like a baby when Albies was rounding third. I did not sound like myself. I went streaking all the way back.
Yeah, I had my dog next to me. I picked up my dog. It's like, oh, we won. It was so fun.
Hey, we still got 3 more to climb, though.
Exactly, 3 more. We've seen this before. Winning game 1 means nothing, but it's a great start.
Man,
I feel like obviously we should talk about Free a little bit because clearly he didn't have his best stuff, but he did enough though. Clearly,
got the job done. So
exactly. 6 innings, 2 runs. Obviously, 8 hits is a little worrisome, but
I think a point to bring up is at least 5 or so of those hits were against the shift or broken liners that we were just playing deep. So a lot of those hits I would say are avoidable most nights. They just hit the right spot. As in, it was against the shift or it blooped in front of a routine play, but because we were playing deep, they dropped in. I really think the only 2 that were big liners when you saw off the back, you're like, yeah, that's walloped. To use the Chip Carey phrase, was that Taylor double early in the ballgame, and of course that Will Smith homer.
Yeah,
that was murdered.
That was murdered, but like you said though, a lot of weak contact got through, and then the 2 strike kids. I think according to DOB or whatever, it was like 6 of the 8 hits were 2-strike hits, which is crazy because Fried is so good in those 2-strike counts. So
It made me so nervous though, because there were so many times where he had him 0-2, 2 outs, or 0-2, nobody on, and somehow or some way there got a little bit more tension in the inning. I was like, oh man, but, you
yeah,
know,
and obviously Riley with the walk off. It was crazy hearing him get this MVP chance, especially after his 19, even 20 campaign.
yeah.
So sweet.
I like what he
Uh,
said pregame tonight. Did you see what Lauren Shahade asked him a question? They asked him about what allowed you to make such a big adjustment this year, and she said something, or he responded with something along the lines of, "Well, it was my first year of being fully in big league action, and I was finally able to take in adjustments and be able to work on things I hadn't been able to before, as working the ball the other way, working the count, just things that when he did this year, he clicked." And I think that's a great explanation because when you think about it, he hadn't had a lot of big league time going into this year as much as you would think.
yeah, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure he hit game 162 this season, which is crazy.
the lucky cat
Um,
coming into the stream.
hey, we'll take all the luck we can get from whatever it is.
Every time I keep him inside, he wins the playoff games. So he's literally a lucky
make,
cat, even though he doesn't look very lucky.
make sure he's an indoor cat from now on.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, like you said, the adjustments, and you can clearly tell how much work he's been putting in because you see him laying off the sliders, which he never did in 19, even just inches off the plate, which is
He's doing
wild.
so many things he didn't do, as in trying to take the ball the other way, working the count, just things that made him a full-on hitter. He wasn't just a home run or nothing type of guy. And that's why
Exactly.
he's not an 8-hitter anymore. He's back up in the 3-4 slot because he's done everything that he couldn't do before. And he's a full-on threat in the box.
Yeah, and I love him in the four spot. I think he's, especially if he can continue the production, probably won't. Hitting 300 is difficult to do, but hitting him forward and getting whatever 280, 30 home runs out of him
Uh-huh.
is perfect scenario in that case.
I have a question for you regarding we won tonight, right? We won tonight with Freddie Freeman going 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
You got to believe that's going to change.
Yeah, that's unsustainable. There's no way. I mean, obviously Betts went 0 for 4, but none of those is going to happen. Two former MVPs aren't going to go 0 for 4 probably again this series.
Yeah. Not only, Betts had a couple hard liners, but
Yeah,
Freddie didn't put the ball in play.
exactly. 4 strikeouts is crazy. I'm pretty sure the announcer said it was like the first time in his career he's had 4 strikeouts.
Sure it was.
It's crazy.
So they announced Max Scherzer tomorrow as the game 2 starter, correct?
Yeah, it's Scherzer Anderson.
What are your thoughts what are your current thoughts going into that matchup? We know him a lot from his DC days, just going back to a couple months ago.
Yeah, obviously, like Scherzer isn't this unhittable guy. We've touched him off multiple different times because of his experience with the Nationals, and then Anderson, I feel great about because whenever he has to go against the Dodgers, he absolutely shoves. So
I feel a lot more confident with him on in Truist than I do on the road because it seems like I could think of a handful amount of times this year where he couldn't keep his pitch count down on the road and he got killed by a lot of tier 2 hitting teams. The Nats got him a couple times, the Mets got him. These aren't the Mets or the Nationals. This is the Dodgers, and you got to play the matchups.
yeah, I think Snicker actually made the perfect move there with having Morton start game 3 and get him a little bit of extra rest.
Day of rest.
Yep. And then you have Anderson on normal rest starting game 2 at home, which I absolutely love. I think he handled that perfectly, which is wild to say about Snicker because he never does that.
So that would mean game 3 would be Buehler and Buehler and Morton, correct?
Yeah, and then 4 would be Urias.
And I don't think we've announced. My guess would be either Jesse or Yanoa. See, the crazy thing is I have people telling me all over social media to go to Smiley. I'm like, check the numbers. Please just check the numbers.
Exactly.
I don't understand what people see in Smiley that
I
they
don't
don't
either.
see in Yanoa. Especially because Smiley knows the Dodgers very well. I should say they know him very well, and they rocked him twice this year. So.
Yeah, And I think people see there obviously the veteranship compared to Inoue, and Inoue has been roughed up recently, anyways.
Yeah,
But Inoue's stuff is just considerably filthier than
yeah,
Smiley's stuff.
and I feel like he's bound to get on a good start. I mean, yes, he hasn't been the same since he came back, but there's a couple starts where you saw that glimpse, and you would think, or at least you would hope, that he's on that roll now, where he's had a couple bad starts behind him, that he's just ready to go out, get out there and go. And if he gives you 5 innings, so be it. I'd be willing to turn it over for Jesse for an inning or two, and you get to where you need to be. I think one of the only things that would fear me is, I mean, we used Luke, Matzik, and Will in every game of the playoffs so far.
Mm-hmm.
They're bound to get hit. Like, you got to keep the team, especially a team like the Dodgers, you got to keep them guessing just a little bit. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, they haven't had a clean inning in quite a
Yeah,
while, all four of them. So
no one's. Yeah, Jackson had a nice inning tonight, obviously, but Matzik got that bloop hit off him, and then Will Smith is Will Smith.
yeah, I feel like
and so
Matzik is bound to
you,
give up something here. So that's just me, though.
it feels like he's getting a lot of he's getting some luck when it comes to expected batting average and batting average in balls in place. It definitely feels like.
And you can't expect that to change over a 7-game series with the Dodgers. Just you can't.
Yeah, not with this potent of an offense, but obviously his one base runner tonight was off of a lucky bloop hit. So
Yep, and then
that
was the ninth thing I'm thinking of the pickle, but
and then he handled the base runner perfectly though. He got 2 pop outs and then the nice strikeout on the slider against Taylor, I think it was.
yeah,
No, yeah.
I don't know. All the at bats are already blending together.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep them straight. And then it was cool though because you actually saw Snicker, which obviously people call for Jackson to close because he's the best reliever in the pin right now. But
But
it
we
was nice
remember when Luke was as a closer, so
exactly. But it was nice to see Jackson was used tonight in the situation where he had to face the Dodgers' best hitters, which is the perfect situation for him instead of closing. Which
yeah.
Sometimes that will come in closing situations, but it's nice to see that because sometimes Snicker is so obsessed with I have my 7, 8, 9 inning guys that he doesn't care about playing matchups whatsoever.
Oh, for sure. There's been
so
so many
nice
times where it's like, let me just throw out Jacob Webb and see how he does. No. This is not a rebuilding team, Snicker.
You can't mess around with that.
You can't throw out these young guys and be like, let me see how they do in this high leverage. It's either you got it or you don't got it. Sorry.
That Taylor Swift was the game caught it. Yeah, exactly. And it was nice to see the Braves not being the team making the base running blunder.
PTSD.
Game 7, with Markakis and Swanson.
Riley too.
And Riley, yeah. Gosh, that was base running is for as well as our coaching, like as well as like Ron Washington handles like fielding and Rick Kranitz is, but the base running is just such a difficult spot for us for some reason. It feels like it should be so simple for major league players to get.
And I feel like that's also part of the playoff adrenaline. The simple things that are in the back of your mind of game 130 of a game 162 are those little things, as the in between and ground balls between the pitcher and first base, sending, hitting your cutoff. Those are things that you just in the back of your mind, you know what to do. But in the playoffs, everything's ramped up. Suddenly, those things aren't as easy, and we're seeing it. I mean, every year there's been moments where something you would think on a June Saturday night, that play doesn't occur.
Exactly. I completely forgot about Ozuna tagging up early in game 6. Which was 5?
It would have been.
Yeah, that would have been 5. Yeah, and that was like the whole shift of the difference in that series. It felt like to me, just crazy. Austin Riley should win MVP.
Mookie was the X factor in turning around the series last year, because not only did he rob a couple home runs within those last couple days of the series, but his bat got wicked hot, and right behind him was Corey Seager, and he was the MVP of the series. That was the turning point.
Yeah, Betts was amazing defensively last year, and he robbed 2 or 3 home runs. Last year, 2 or 3 home runs.
Something like that. And he threw out 2 people at the plate, so it's like that dude was a menace out there, especially Game 7. If you remember, Freddie had that long. It's like the 5th inning. I want to say it was still 2-2 at that point. Freddie hits a bomb. It's 5th or 6th inning, and Mookie has one of the worst breaks you ever see on a ball, and somehow it's 3 seconds later he's up at the top of my ceiling to pull it down. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah. I don't remember that exactly. I think my brain has kind of blocked out parts of that game.
Yeah.
But it just felt like every other game he was making some sort of crazy robbery, and it's like, oh, this you can't be serious that this guy is killing us
See, that's what
offensively and
doesn't
then
make
he's killing
sense to
us
me.
defensively.
He seems like he'd fit so much better as a center fielder because he's got the speed and the glove and the arm.
Yeah,
But Doc Roberts likes to play Chris Taylor and Bellinger in center field, which if you do, so be it. But personally, if I was the Dodgers manager, well, I'm a lucky guy. But I feel
yeah,
like because you have 3 MVPs on your bench, you're disposable at all times. But doesn't Mookie seem like an even better center fielder than right fielder? That's just me because he has all the assets to be an elite center fielder as well.
yeah. It feels
I don't know.
it feels like he's controls the fielding so much when he's in center, and so I definitely see where you're going with that because I mean having like such a guy who gets he definitely sometimes gets bad jumps, but he gets a great jump like very consistently. I
And
mean,
when
someone
he
like that in
does
center
get a
field is
bad
so
jump,
important.
still makes the play.
Yeah, his speed is enough to make up for it. So it is surprising that he doesn't roam center, and I think maybe it takes less stress off of Bellinger because we see that comparatively, Ozuna hitting wasn't as well because he had a field compared to DHing last year at the beginning of this year. And so I think having Bellinger roam right instead of having to play all of center, I think maybe it could help him be a better hitter, but who knows?
Who is your impact player for tomorrow?
Ooh. Uh, I mean, obviously the fun choice, the basic choice is Ian Anderson because he's the new guy. But I wouldn't be surprised to see. I think I want to say Duvall because he's just so lackluster in the playoffs the last few years. But I struggle to see him getting out of his slump against Scherzer, but I feel like someone more experienced with Atlanta, like Freeman or Albies or Riley's, going to have more success in Scherzer. But uh, I think I'll go Rosario. I think Rosario leads off the game and has a strong start
I
and
mean,
plays
hey,
well.
that's exactly what happened tonight.
Yeah,
I can't lie, I was kind of toxic on a lot of Instagram group chats tonight. Maybe a little over the top. But I want to say the most basic one, right, would have to be Freddie Freeman. I mean, your reigning MVP, debatably another MVP season this year if it weren't for Austin Riley. Um, you can't expect that guy to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts again. Maybe he goes 0 for 3, but let's say he draws 2 walks or he has a sacrifice fly and a walk. You would expect him in some form or facet to at least get on base or get something going to help the offense. That's what's most unbelievable to me tonight. Not only did we get out of tons of late inning jams with runners in scoring position, which the Braves don't do a lot, nor did the Dodgers give up a lot. That
yeah,
seems like two very high end uh, outcomes that don't happen a lot. The Dodgers squandering opportunities and the Braves getting out of jams. But B, our debatably our best hitter goes over 4 with 4 strikeouts and we win.
yeah, crazy. The fact that I can't name the amount of times Freddie goes hitless and we still win the games, and then he doesn't like get on base at all. Because obviously sometimes we'll win, he'll draw whatever 2 walks because
Yeah,
it's Freddie
maybe like
Freeman.
a May game versus the Marlins.
Yeah, but in the playoff game, Freddie Freeman going hitless and we still win just shows you how much this lineup can make up for it. I mean, obviously only 3 runs tonight, but Riley just coming up huge whenever we need him. And then the first inning breaks, you played ABC baseball for the first time in forever in the
Yeah,
postseason.
who's on first?
Yeah, it's
It's,
an actual manufactured run.
and that's the other thing with me. It's like not only did he go hitless, he didn't even put the ball in play, so he didn't have a chance to sacrifice or get an RBI or even work up the pitch count with a walk. He was over 4 with 4 strikeouts. So
Yeah,
maybe you expect him to go hitless again in the series. That's human. But you would hope if he does that he at least gets involved with some sort of sacrifice or a walk or RBI of anything.
yeah. I disagree with this. I would rather just go up
We,
3-0,
we don't have to.
obviously.
We don't have to lose anything.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just sweep, go 4-0 and go straight to the World Series. And then Rosario needs to lead off. And was it? Yeah, because he got hit by the Marlins and
Yeah,
then he got injured, which pisses me off because
Ronald had a couple of good games in that series.
Yeah,
Right? I think he had. I don't think he had a home run in the series, but I remember him being on base quite a lot.
yeah, nothing like normal Ronald though. Like he
Yeah,
didn't hit anything way out of the park like we
and that was
expect.
the thing. Like Darno in the DS was a god last year, but when he got to the CS, he was kind of quiet.
Yeah, he
So
raked, but you could tell he was definitely tired because he had played so much during the regular season and then started all the postseason games.
yeah, and that was back when we had Flowers, and Flowers was, if you remember, it was Flowers platoon with a couple of years with Suzuki and McCann. So it was different because Travis Darno was just coming off an injured season from an AL team where he platooned with Florida Gator, Mike Zunino. And for him
Yeah,
coming into Atlanta and having to start all those postseason games, you could tell it drained him out. And you know the Braves weren't going to start Tyler Flowers after all that sitting time to play in a must-win game or a must-win series. So
yeah. I definitely think though having off days this time around will help though because last year you played all the 7 games in 7 days, which is crazy that they made them do that.
that
And
still
thinking back on
annoys
that, how
me.
did the players ever agree on that?
That still annoys me. Being the ALCS, Rays, Astros had days off. See, that's what befuddles
Yeah,
me
they
most.
did
They
because
had days off.
yeah, Rob Manfred is loco.
And yeah, not
Yeah,
only
I would
that.
love to see us.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'd love to see us manufacture more runs because it feels like so often we just heavily rely on a blast or a bloop and a blast, and manufacturing runs is something different. And in postseason, you need to do that. So
I still feel like there's a happy medium to that though, because I feel like if we go out and score 12 runs, the next day we might score one. It's just that thing in baseball where you can see there's teams that score 16 one day, they come out and score two the next, because they lose all their energy. And you got to think you're facing the best pitchers right now and debatably the best team. So, of course, I'd love to score runs, but I want to find that happy medium where if we score eight, we don't come out and score one the next day.
yeah, you saw that at times, obviously, this season where the Braves would have a 20 point or a 20 score game, and then all of a sudden they would go out and almost get no hit. So obviously, got to
Very
find that
true.
happy medium.
What do you think on What do you think on the bench play this series? You would think within a couple of days that they might be able to bring back Soler. I would guess it'd probably be for Pache since you still have Heredia that can play the center field defense and he can actually make contact. But I mean, what would your expectations be for playing the bench this series? Because as you said, Darno got burnt out last postseason. Now, do I
Yes.
expect the Braves to start Contreras in a playoff game? No. But you would have to think in a game that maybe looks decided or is maybe going towards extra innings, they try to bring in Contreras for a couple innings just to keep him rested.
Yeah. Obviously, with Contreras, you would probably bring him in like if the Dodgers or the Braves were to ever have one of those like 10 run innings and have an absolute explosion, you would do that. But
Yeah.
outside of that, though, I thought it was interesting how Snicker and whatever that was, the seventh, brought in Adrianza instead of. I would have expected you to go to Camargo there, have maybe
Yeah.
more of a power.
I
And
just feel like Camargo hasn't hit in the MLB since April. I
yeah,
mean, Noah has two more home runs than he has hit this year. So I think that's. I feel like Camargo is more on the roster because yes, Terrence Gore was a usable guy last series, but Camargo can do even more than that. He could be a switch hitter off the bench, but that dude has a glove and he can play anywhere in the field. So
yeah,
I feel like that's more of a role for him.
my one counter to that though would be using there. I would have thought about using Camargo and then saving Adrianza for potentially you when you have to pinch hit in extra innings or like it's a
Yeah,
big at bat comparatively.
I
And
feel like
so
E-Ray's been the Camargo this year. As
yeah,
in, he's let's be honest. E-Ray has been the consistent guy on the bench all year. If you remember, coming out of spring training, it was Panda and E-Ray. Those were the guys that you knew would make the team based on spring training. And E-Ray kept that consistency all year. And I mean, I think he had a hit last series too, right? I think it was game 4 he got a hit. Or was it
yeah,
3?
I think so. Yeah,
He
that
got a
sounds
hit last series, though. I know that.
yeah. Yeah, you're about to face Scherzer, Urias, and wait, why am I blanking on
Bueller.
other Bueller? Yeah,
Bueller.
there we go.
Sendence. Bueller.
uh, so yeah, you can't hitting a home run off those dudes is super tough. I know Urias has a low HR per nine, but
I do
Uh,
feel as the Braves do need to be ahead going into Game 4 because that's a game where you're going to be facing Urias, and we don't know what our situation would be. Whether that's Chavez, whether it's Yanoa, whether it's Smiling. Pray to God it's not. I feel like Atlanta must be up in the series still going into Game 4, whether it's 2-1, whether it's 3-0. You would think that you'd want to be up in that series knowing that they have an ace going out there compared to possibly an Atlanta bullpen game in LA.
yeah, but I mean, obviously today we threw our ace and they threw a bullpen game, and it was still
Yeah,
an incredibly close game. So anything can happen. But I do feel confident that we can take a lead. I like the Morton Bueller matchup, and I think
we
there's
saw
ways where we can use the Anderson Scherzer matchup and win that game. So
and we saw the Morton Bueller matchup, if I'm not mistaken. I think at the end of August when we were out in LA there for a couple of days, and I want to say that was the game that Chris Martin blew in the eighth inning. I don't remember though. That was the game where I want to say Dansby took a homer to lead it late, and then the eighth inning Martin blew it. I don't remember. I know.
uh, maybe I don't remember exactly,
I do want to
but
say
it
that
does
they
sound
finished that
familiar.
series though, because I know game one was Smiley Max. Game two had to have been Bueller Morton, and I think Max Fried pitched later in the series against uh, one of their guys. But I do want to say that was
Yeah,
one of the close games.
yeah, that does sound familiar now that you bring that up. Um, but I think we do have a solid matchups though until game four. So definitely, like you said, go into game four with a lead, whether it be 2-1 or 3-0, preferably 3-0.
Yeah.
Um, but as long as with Anderson and Morton throwing and with our offense, you can take those advantages for sure.
What's your stance on? I mean, do you make any lineup changes going into tomorrow? I wouldn't guess anything drastic, but maybe you lean to put Jock back on the bench.
Maybe not so much that, but maybe putting a righty at leadoff, I think would be interesting because they talk about how four of the first five hitters are all lefties outside of Riley. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, Albies is a switch hitter, but they're going to throw out.
So maybe in that respect, you put Jock back at leadoff because that's what we did earlier in the summer, and the dude was able to get hot when he got here. Was when he was in the leadoff hole.
Yeah,
Well,
Jock in
I'm
leadoff
sorry,
would
Jock.
be interesting.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I definitely like Jock, the idea of Jock in the leadoff hole, but I think having him in five with RBI opportunities is a more
Yeah,
useful way to use him. I would throw Fried again in game four. Uh,
I don't know about that one. If Atlanta's up 3-0, sure. But
yeah,
let's
go
be
for the
honest.
kill.
That's we're not going to be up 3-0. Let's be honest here.
Uh, that would be one less day of rest, so short rest, which you could throw, but
I would only say if we're up 3-0. If we're up 2-1, I don't risk it.
yeah, I definitely like that. I wish Noah knew how to pitch because he throws 99. Yeah, I always say this. I sound like an old head when I say this, but I'd rather have a guy throw 95, 97 and know how to locate it than 99, 101 and not be able to control it at all.
You sound like a Aroldis Chapman since the sticky stuff came in.
Uh, I just feel like control is so underrated nowadays. Uh,
Oh, for sure. We
and
see
so
the
many,
Braves 6 times a week. We know that.
we do see the Braves 6 times a week. Uh,
They're
it,
willing to walk in anybody. I mean,
yeah,
Tehran, it goes way back to those
and
days.
it's still funny to me though
Old
how
T.
uh, Will Smith, like he throws 93. You should be able to control 93. But
Yeah.
when he threw the fastball right down the middle in the game that clinched against the Phillies, fastball 93 middle, and he missed. And it's like, how does that happen? But hey, you won.
That's
So
my thing with him. I feel like this offseason, I'd love to see him work on a two seam or a cutter or something. That's another fastball type. He throws the changeup, he throws the slider, he throws the curve. When all three of them are on, his fastball is untouchable. But wouldn't it be
yeah,
something if he could figure out how to bring in a two seam that still has a little bit of movement, but it's not 87 miles an hour? I
yeah.
think that would make him even better.
Some other like high velo with some sort of slight movement to it would be a great pitch to add to his arsenal.
Yeah, like a cutter or a two seam, especially. I wouldn't go too out of control as in like, a fork ball, but I think a two seam would be very reasonable for him to learn how to throw with him already knowing a slider and a curve.
Yeah. And then obviously with Scherzer, we touched on this a little bit, but he's played against Atlanta multiple times. It's not like the announcers were obviously an amazing pitcher, but he's
Yeah.
not like this elite ace that's unhittable. We saw him like 5 times a year,
Yeah.
not too
And
long ago.
now granted, we didn't see him in the playoffs, and he didn't have the lineup backing him that he does now. I
Yeah,
mean, when we used to see him, he had Trey Turner backing him. But I mean, he had guys as in Adam Eaton, Victor Robles, Starlin Castro, guys that wouldn't even touch the MLB for the Dodgers. So that's another
yeah,
impact. And the guy's a different level in the playoffs. He's just one of those types of dudes that he looks scary in the regular season, but he's scary in the playoffs. But hey, we got the numbers to show that we can. But let's be honest, the numbers are out the window right now.
exactly. Playoffs numbers don't matter. Freed did miss time this year. That is a good point. Throwing him on a short rest wouldn't be like entirely impossible because he's missed multiple. He missed a month,
Yeah,
month and a half, and
he
Anderson
missed.
missed 2-3 months. So
And Freed missed some time last year, I want to say, too. Yeah, he missed like part of last year because there was a tweet about the 6 guys that Atlanta was considering last year for the rotation, as in Fulte, Newcomb, Felix, Max,
oh gosh,
Soroka, and Hamels. All of them had missed time throughout the year. Max is the
Felix
only guy that was
Hernandez.
left. Just think about that for a second. Our rotation was supposed to be Soroka, Hamels, Max, Felix,
Fulton
Fulton,
Everett.
or Newcomb. Like, oh,
That's
like,
crazy.
and we thought that was good. Oh,
Brutal. Good thing Anderson and Freed merged,
yeah.
or else last year could have gone very differently. Uh, yeah, I think we all wish we still had Melanson. I think
Well,
the
we did knock
bullpen.
him out of the playoffs, literally.
Yeah, we did, but still having another guy that you can actually be confident in would
I'd
be
love to
nice.
have him out there over a Strider or a Tomlin or somebody, but
Obviously, uh, we beat Scherzer 2 years ago when the Nationals won the World Series. Yeah,
no,
but
we beat him this year too. But again, wasn't the playoffs.
exactly, it wasn't the playoffs. The playoffs are a different breed, and obviously, Scherzer seems obviously in his one long extended postseason stint in the 19 Nationals run, he took it to another level. He's one of those guys that seemingly takes it to another level in October, and so numbers don't matter, like you
Yeah,
said.
it's like LeBron. He might average 30 in the regular season, but the years he won rings, that man averaged 38, 39 in the playoffs. So
Yeah. Uh, and then so with that, oh, okay. Here's the other thing that I was thinking about when with the way the rotation signed up, you have Morton pitching a potential game 7, which is phenomenal. Uh,
yeah,
and so Snicker's done a great job already through one game and setting up this rotation. Great
yeah.
job
Let's
to
be
do that.
honest. If he would have lost this game, Ben, we wouldn't be saying that. We'd be saying something different.
True. Winning solves problems, as we've seen through multiple different sports. Yeah, having a healthy Soroka.
That was one of the best games I've ever watched. That game 3 against the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Now, who would have known 3 days later what was to come? Man, I
um,
was in this room watching that game when I think about it.
was your cat in there with you?
Uh, I think he was outside that day. No, I brought him in for the 9th inning and we won, bro. My cat is a lucky cat.
um, but it's funny though because the announcers today were talking about how big of a loss Muncie was, and for like whatever a whole at bat, and then they like touched on Acuna and Soroka being out. I don't even think they brought up Soroka by name, and then they said one sentence about Acuna being out. It's like
Yeah.
pretty sure Acuna and Soroka are probably more important to our success than Muncie is to theirs. Like
And
we don't,
Azuna was
yeah,
that guy last year. He was that click factor. To
we
the
don't have another MVP off the bench.
Yeah, we don't have. They have 3.
Yeah, we need all
They
of ours
have
healthy.
Pujols, Bellinger, and hell, for most parts of the year, they had David Price in the long relief. Like, what team has that?
So dumb.
Just stupid. I've said it before. the Lakers and Dodgers budgets come off Magic Johnson's money trees that he grows in his backyard. There's just no way that
Where did
I don't know. It's
where
arguing with
does
it
he
with
get
a
all his money from? It's like
well, we
obviously
know where he
NBA
gets his
career.
money from, but it's crazy that I do like that the MLB doesn't have a cap, but I think at some point Manfred's got to be like, okay, this is too much. Especially if the Dodgers go on and win this back to back, you would
Mhm.
think some action would need to be taken. Granted, this team was better than last year's team. The last year's team was pretty darn good in a 60-game season.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like salary cap is so crazily like such a heated topic, obviously, because you have your baseball purists who are like, oh, it doesn't matter. There's never been a salary cap. Just spend more money
Yeah,
and want to win, obviously. But then
because the teams that
you
have been
have Braves
known for
fans who've
their
been stuck with Liberty Media for the last decade and a half.
But then you have those big teams that always spend money but come up short. I mean, the Yankees got beat the heck out of by the Rays this year, and the Rays are a totally different meta than the Yankees. And the Rays have had the Yankees number the last 3 to 4 years. The Brewers have made 4 straight playoffs, and they're a Moneyball type team. The A's are always in the mix, so it's like I think that's a big reason fans don't want it. Is there's the old baseball fan that's very against change. But when you think about the three smallest markets, Milwaukee, Oakland, and Tampa, they're always in contention every year. So
Exactly.
that's part of it.
You
You got to think.
you have to have the right resource. The Rays are spending a fifth of the salary that New York is and getting not double the results, but getting better results than New York. So if you have the right facilities, you'll win.
And by facilities, we don't mean Tropicana Field by any means. But
No means at all. Tropicana Field is such a dumpster.
no, I will
Uh,
say it is a pretty nice park. When you read the comments, I'm going to show you a picture I took outside of it.
yeah. Uh, I don't. Facing Bauer would be so difficult. I obviously I don't want to say like I'm lucky to see what happened there, but it's nice not to have to face Bauer instead of
No doubt.
Scherzer. And then beating the Brewers on Tuesday for sure helped. Not having to worry, being able to watch Giants Dodgers stress free Game 5.
Yeah.
I've said this multiple times now, but Game 5s and 7s are the best things in sports until your team is in it, because it's the most stressful thing in the whole world.
I was on the bridge that was right past the Trop.
Nice.
If you've ever been on a cruise that goes out of Tampa, you go under a big bridge that goes out into the ocean. Duh. But it's the open water bridge. One side of it is St. Pete, and the Trop's right across from it. Like, right down the road from it, and the other side is Tampa itself. And yeah, you go across the bridge and I want to say maybe about a quarter of a mile, big Space Mountain pops up, and that's the Trop.
Yeah. I I just wish they sold more than 10,000 tickets again.
Yeah,
Would be nice.
it looks like a nice park. It looks pretty nice on the inside. There's just so many flaws to it. Like, I feel
Exactly.
like not to say that they were cheap, because we get they don't have a lot of money and what they're doing is working, but if they took the time to manufacture just a couple things in that ballpark with advertising or just the catwalks and the seating, the Rays would be on an even higher level than they are. Because it shows people do love sports in that city.
Yeah.
They do. It's just a matter of getting the right resources in place to get people in the seat, but keep them there. So, I guess better advertising to be able to get them to St. Pete would be one. Fixing the things that are fixable, as in the catwalks and the speaker systems, and just the little flaws with that stadium would be B. But yeah, the Rays win regardless. So it's like, what can you do?
Exactly. Like fixing up stadiums just like brings in so much more things. Like when the Hawks sucked, but you had the new State Farm Arena, people were coming in because
Yeah.
this new arena, and you're selling tickets, and so
Same
you were
with
able to do
the
that.
Braves in 2017. We weren't great,
Yeah,
but it was a new stadium. So
exactly. So you could have these bad years, but you could afford it because you were selling tickets anyways. You had a new stadium to look like preview.
yeah, as I said, it looks like a very nice park. They have to fix a couple things. I think the catwalks would be the first, but just little things that I've heard from around the baseball community, like their stadium speakers, giving them bullpens would be a big one. and maybe limiting the amount of seats in there because I'm sure you could find other things in there to put than extra seats that you don't sell anyway. So that
Yes.
I'm sure that's losing you money right there. Is having the extra 5,000 seats that you don't need. That even if your team was selling them out, you wouldn't sell those games. You wouldn't sell those tickets.
Yeah. Uh, the world wants to see Mookie Betts versus his old team, the Red Sox. Or,
The world wants to see Dodgers Astros. That's what the
yeah,
world wants
exactly.
to see.
You want to see the rematch of the Dodgers versus the Cheaters. But Betts Red Sox would still be an interesting storyline. Obviously, and you get another huge market in there. So,
And you got to look at it the other way. Sports world would like to see a Falcons Patriots sort of rematch, and that's and the Red Sox. So
yeah. Uh, but that brings up the announcers. I don't know if you watch the game on mute or whatever and put the radio
yeah,
on. I know some people do that. But the announcers, the
I used to
TBS
do that, but
announcers, outside of Frenchie, is just so.
I love Brian Anderson. I can't lie. I do like
The
Brian
TBS
Anderson.
announcers are so painful.
See, I do
I
like
like
them
him
to a
when
degree.
he's not calling a team. I like him when he's not calling a game with my team against the
I can.
Dodgers.
I feel that. I feel that. I feel like that's how it goes for a lot of announcers though. With I think that comes with Atlanta. It's been known to Atlanta. So we feel that way with certain announcers, but I kind of feel that to a degree. Like announcers that you hear a lot, but you seem to not like them when you're calling your games. Like Chris Fowler, he doesn't call a lot of Gator games, but when he does, we seem to lose. Same thing with like Brian Anderson or even a Marv Albert, like, before he retired. So
Yeah, I know. Like, obviously, I'm not a Falcons fan, but I know a lot of Falcons fans don't like when Greg Olson calls their games. But me personally, as a
he just
non
started
Falcons
though.
fan, I
He
I
just
don't mind
started.
listening to him. I kind of enjoy listening to him. So,
Now to be
uh,
fair, he just started week one, so we can't really hate him. I don't
true.
think we like him because he was a big factor with us against the Panthers for a couple of years. But
Yeah, he definitely was.
who do the Broncos got tomorrow?
The Broncos. Who do the Raiders? It's a big matchup. Second
Are you
place in the
hosting it?
division. No, wait. Yes, we are actually.
You
Gosh,
guys need to win that game. You guys can't slip back to 3-3.
need that game because 4-2, second in the division. Obviously,
You know the Chiefs are
GBA.
going to get on track.
Yeah,
You
and then
you
the
you kind of
Chargers.
believe the Chargers are going to do something. It's just you guys need to get out as many wins as you possibly can because now there's seven. There's seven seeds and third in your division. You have a chance to make the playoffs. You just have to be the best third place team in your conference, and you never know.
Yeah, just got to be the best third place team.
See the Falcons. We have a bye week this week, but we play the Dolphins next week, and they play the Jags tomorrow. So
Oh yeah,
maybe
they're
that
that
would be a
London game.
morale win for the Dolphins. But the thing, I mean, they killed us in the preseason, right? But two was out. And Atlanta has at least won some games. Now, granted, they've also been against the Giants and Jets, two teams the Broncos are familiar with winning. But
Yeah,
I'm in that same boat with the Broncos right now. It's just win as many games as you can against teams that are winnable. And hey, you never know. You might mess around and be in the wild card spots.
yeah. Just win the games you're supposed to win. Pull off a couple upsets, and boom, you're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think who is taking.
I thought we're on ESPN open night. Are we not?
I have no idea,
My
but
guess would be Kevin Harlan. He still exists.
yeah, he does.
If not, I mean, Brian Anderson's kind of the third guy, but he's doing our series.
Exactly.
And you know what? I just realized the Braves also plays Tuesday night. Ooh. I don't know how I'm going to be able to watch both.
Well, it would be interesting. I can't wait for the Hawk season to start. Oh my gosh.
I kind of wish that Braves Dodgers game Tuesday night was like 8:30 and the Hawks game was 7:30. That way it'd be about halftime when the
Yeah,
Braves game starts.
that would definitely be nice.
But I think they're at 7:30 and 8, and they're both on Turner Network, so they're going to be very parallel within time frame. So
Yeah,
hey, Ted Turner, former Hawk and Brave owner. So
exactly. Uh, that's why we got two screens though. A modern age of technology. Thank the Lord for computers, streaming services, and stuff.
I really want to beat Luca. I feel like Hawks Mavericks is slowly becoming a rivalry.
Yeah, there's definitely some
Like
discontent
Luca,
there.
Cam, and Trey, they all like each other, but the fan bases don't.
Oh my gosh, the fan base is this never-ending war on Twitter. It's crazy.
Facts. Anyway, is there anything else that you want to cover tonight?
No, I think I was about to just wrap it up. Anything you want to shout out real quick?
It was cool being back on my old show. I can't lie, but hey, you know what? That's just one, but that's the first one of the war. You got 7 more hills to climb, but most importantly, 3. And let's hope we come on tonight with a similar result, or come on tomorrow night with a similar result. Thanks for having me
At this point, it is tonight. It's 12:30.
The evening of the 17th.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, 3 more wins this series, 7 more wins overall, and we've won a title for Hank Aaron. So I feel like that's a pretty good plan.
Hey,
Easier said than done, though,
for
obviously.
next seat too. I would say for Sutton, but
See you
Sutton
guys.
was also a Dodger.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
See you
freeze
guys.
framing.